Yeah, before I ask some just a little bit of specific questions on the movie, I'll just give you the chance to introduce yourselves. Tell us exactly what you did and the roles you play in making this a successful partnership with Disney. I'm still going to ask that actually how you actually pull this up, but if you just let us know the
Okay.
CGAfrica
So,
audience.
I'm Tolu Olofuyiku, co-founder of Kugali and cultural consultant for Iwaju.
Iwaju,
I'm
okay.
Olufkayo Adeola, also known as Ziki, writer and director of Iwaju and also a co-founder at Kugali.
Right.
I am Hamid Ibrahim, as a lot of guys there would know. One of the co-founders of Kugali and the CEO of Kugali right now. For Iwaju, I'm the production designer.
Right. Thanks, guys. And it's good to have you guys. And I'm sure Kugali is getting bigger and bigger, particularly with the launching of this series. The question that I'm interested to ask Hamid, the first one, I'll direct that to Hamid. How did this partnership come about? How exactly? Just in few words, because Disney, of course, is global. But how did you manage to pull this off as a studio?
It was one of those things where it felt like a movie in itself, the way this whole thing came together. In that, I think you know this. I think this was around the time where we actually knew each other.
Right.
We had a BBC interview based on the success of our anthology, kind of us doing a first ever African comic book anthology.
I remember that.
And in that, and in that interview, I said we're gonna kick business, in Africa. And when I said that, it caught the interest of Jennifer Lee, who is the chief creative officer of Disney, and she looked at us. She saw our enthusiasm. And they just reached out to us, but the main point, they were reached out just to talk. And after months of talking conversations, we realized that our goals and their goals were they aligned very, very much in that they wanted to empower storytellers to tell authentic stories. And our goal as Kugali, as you know, is to tell authentic African stories. So it's kind of like a perfect match. I had to put my ego down aside. I wanted to kick their asses and try to collaborate with them. And the rest is history. That's how it all came about. It was pretty much a magical ride.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So it came on the back of the enthusiasm and on the fact that your work was out there already, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But then looking at the trailer, I saw a lot of course, it was set in futuristic Nigeria. But I think was it Deola who was the cultural director? How did you? Yeah, sorry. So how did you fix this? How did you what's the role? How did you blend the story? How did you come up with the story to make it Nigerian? Looking at, because I saw some of the behind the scenes as well. But how did you, make this happen?
Okay, so it was very easy because I was collaborating with people who wanted it to be authentic. To start with, the writer is Nigerian, Ziki. He wrote it and he grew up in Lagos, so he knows what Lagos feels like. He could write a Lagos story. Hamid, who is Ugandan, decided that when creating the visuals of this world, he's going to make sure everything is based on real life Lagos and rooted in what you can find in real life Lagos. And he said, you know what, I'll put my ego aside. I'm not going to try to sneak some Ugandan stuff in here. When we do Uganda, we will do that justice as well. But right now we're doing Lagos, Nigeria. Let's make sure it feels like Lagos, Nigeria. And I live in Lagos till this day. So my specific role was to make sure that everything felt grounded. I didn't write the story and I didn't design the visuals, but we all worked together so that if, for example, if Ziki wrote something where someone gets on a bus, but Ziki, when he's in Nigeria, he typically would drive. He doesn't really use the bus. But but since I spend more time in Nigeria, sometimes I drive, sometimes I use the bus. I might know a tiny detail about the public transport experience that Ziki might not know, even though he's from Nigeria. So if Ziki writes something and I feel like, no, you missed one little detail, that's not how this would be, then I would give my input. But everybody, including the people at Disney Animation, wanted this to feel authentic. So it made my work easy. I just needed to keep providing the correct information. But it was not difficult. There was no clash.
Yeah. That's good to know, because already the comments online they're already falling in love with Otin. because of our natural antics. And of course, the guys from the trailer I saw, the local language, the movements and everything, it feels really, really authentic. I was looking at one of the reviews from the snippets online, and this guy, he was so excited about the fact that now they're finally getting represented in a futuristic environment, because it does feel like it's a representation of someone in Lagos. So yeah, that was good. But then, sorry, go on.
No, I was just thanking you for the positive comments.
Yeah, thanks, man. Ahmed, but then maybe I should direct this also to Ziki as well. The last time we discussed in CGAfrica, there was that gap that we identified about the technical expertise. But of course, looking at this production now, yeah, it has Disney behind it. But then my question is, how much of should I say local, or how much of exposure has this given a local artist, let's say in Lagos, before we now take it out to the whole of Africa?
Yeah, I'll start off and then maybe you can finish off. One thing I was very adamant on this. I think I don't know how much you guys saw me fighting for this. I don't think we just went that route for that Lagos artist. I did bring it up a few times, in that I was like, okay, we need to get artists from, I wanted artists specifically from Lagos, Nigeria. We're not bringing in artists. And when I was submitting artists who I wanted to work on this, all the ones I was submitting, I was like, I'm going to focus making sure I land in all the Lagos people first, and then I can start supplementing after. And the reason I did this is, even if I've visited Lagos a couple of times now, there's a difference between when you visit a place versus when you live in a place. And when you live in a place, there's a way you don't. That's actually a good example when you look at somebody who's just visiting a place and the way they talk about something versus somebody who lives there. It's very different perspective. But the real thing is the person who lives there. That's the real thing. That's the authentic thing. And from that, if you present on the screen, people who live there will understand it. People who visit it will pick it up from their perspective of visiting it too. So it makes a perfect. So that was a very deliberate thing. Even if there's a skills gap, we had to make sure we captured all the first people as much as we can, like the people we needed there as much as we can. And also in terms of promoting Africa, it has shown most of the world that you can collaborate with Africans on the continent and make a product that's really good, right? As evident right now. So nobody can come up with but this, but that. It's like they stayed on the continent. They didn't fly all these guys out. Everybody was working in their place. But people from Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, Zimbabwe, it was an amazing experience. I think
that's awesome.
Yeah, Hamid covered it. Just to add that we also the cast and the voice talent were all either Nigerian or based from the African or Nigerian diaspora. So that just added more to the authenticity of what we were building.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how about the actual resources when it comes to machine power, rendering, the technical sides that comes with animation? Was this done in Nigeria, or did you have to outsource this elsewhere?
So again, this project was very, very collaborative. Disney Animation collaborated with us for the direction and visual development and pre and post production. But for the actual production, this was done by Cinesight in Canada.
Just to add context, leadership, pre and post production. So for example, all the leaders in each base was obviously Kugali based or Disney based, Kugali and Disney based. And then for production, the actual work, I think you understand. I was in the same industry.
I do.
The factory is what I usually call it.
Yes, that's true. My question is your story of triumph and challenges. How, what if you could just encapsulate everything in a few words? What's your story of triumph and challenges and triumphs with the project?
Well, I think Iwaju is a story of triumph, both within the story and both for ourselves at Kugali, because we made a lot of sacrifices and faced a lot of challenges getting here, and make it on this huge stage should show people that were in our position back then that this is possible, in the same way that Tola overcomes obstacles to inspire the jaded men around her in the world of Iwaju.
All right. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Should we end it there? Hamid, anyone?
Yeah.
Final comments?
Yeah.
No, that was great.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate this for coming on board. I appreciate it. Have a nice one, guys.
Thank you. Have a nice one.